Incredible greetings! Let's continue the Supermemo course, the Pleasurable expansion. Now it's turn for the concept groups. I mentioned this already in the previous videos. So now it's time to tackle this. Fowl doesn't do this explicitly, and it's a lot easier than it may sound. So, those concepts that we created, they're themselves, and that's it. So there's no concept group yet. But as I'm importing articles inside here, and I make the incremental link flow, so I do extracts, then consolations, and on top of that, I will be creating the concept group. Let's do, for instance, well, those are quite massive, all of those. Let's say cognition, and then I have a child of cognition, and then even more children. So all of those, coherence, has the cognition concept. So all of that, regardless of the position in the hierarchy, will have this concept. That is a concept group, as easy as that. So all of the elements that have one particular concept inside it is a concept group. So then if I want, I can make a subset review. So instead of seeing everything in my collection, I only want to have my incremental link flow only for this section of my collection. Yep, in theory it's like that, but it's Supermemo. The user has full power. And it's likely this won't happen. It won't be like that. Why? Easy. Let's use this one. Brain lateral. Oh yeah, that is science, right? Let me move it here. Science, boom, here you go. What happened now? To what is inside science, if I go here, the topic, the concept is empty. It's not science. Because just because I make it a child of this concept doesn't set it. I have to set it manually, which I can if I want. I can do it. Set concept group and science. Here you go. Now the 14 are in science. Now is the concept group. Let's say that I want this in my learning, this one, the learning concept. What I will do, and the parameters, and I will set the concept of learning. Did you see it moved? It used the hook. We already have seen the concept hooks. And now it's inside learning. So now I started the learning concept group. And as I do review this, I make extracts, I will be populating this. Because this is how it's meant to be used. Supermemo, let's say that it's very manual, one by one cases. So when you have those flows that are not intended, that manually moving those around, trying to automate, do things in bulk, is when you have those kind of things. But then, not because to wrap up, not because all of the hierarchy down of this concept, that it will be like a branch. It's the concept group. So what defines a concept group would be the elements that have set the concept, the same concept, are inside it as a branch, physically and semantically. Could be the case, for instance, this is science, right? I can just move it outside of it. Now it's below the root concept, but it's still science. So I can have both. In science, I can have elements whose concept is a different one, and at the same time, some elements who have concept science can be outside of the group. Hope this makes sense. So, that's the official definition. A concept group is a set of elements grouped in a branch, all of the hierarchy down, and associated with a given concept. In my words, that is, that are physically related in the branch as children, and are semantically related at the same time. So if it only is one of them, it's not part of the concept group, because it's physically there, but has a different concept set. Or, in this case, it's associated semantically with a concept. Yes, it's set, but it's not grouped in the branch. It's in a random place in the knowledge tree because I have moved this manually. And then, in case you use legacy versions of Supermemo, like 15 or so, you will have categories instead of concepts. That is like, yeah, it's like the concept with less features, let's say. But I won't cover that because it's way too old. It's more than a decade old. This is only true if you use the freeware version of Supermemo, like the 16 is the last one on the recording, you'll have categories. But it's the same thing. What you will lose is how you can set templates and stuff like that, but I won't cover that in that course. And basically this is important. So anytime that you read the documentation, concept group, or the interface in the description, when you have the hints, says group, remember that. They have to satisfy two things. It's inside the hierarchy. Yes, has the, let me remember the wording. Is grouped inside the branch? Yes. And it's associated with a given concept. Basically, it's set. Yes, indeed. So all of the elements that match those two criteria are part of the concept group. So elements that, regardless of the source, bibliographic source, if it's an article, a YouTube video, a book, I copy it from the clipboard, or I type in the text, they have a semantic relationship that is the same concept and are in the same branch. That is a concept group in Supermemo. And that's all you need to know. Perhaps it's just like a definition kind of thing, but it's relevant to know because it's mentioned many, many times in the documentation. So if you work with concepts, you need to know to understand what the concept group is. That's all for now. See you in the next video.